whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. Wow, there is a lot to unpack today. Obviously, the Supreme Court has ruled regarding Donald Trump being on the Colorado ballot. We will get a little bit of analysis from ABC News. And of course, I want your guys' comments as well. Waiting for Kim, so hopefully she can slide in shortly, because there's a ton of other news to follow this weekend. And I hope you all had a fabulous weekend and we're staying dry. Anybody also, we're going to go over some pictures and updates on the situation in Tahoe. Oh my God, the amount of snow. I know so many people that were just itching to get to Tahoe this weekend. And yeah, that wasn't going to happen. If you try to take 80, I think they're still trying to clear the road. Absolutely trying to clear the road right now. So don't go yet. I think, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. I think they're saying in a few days, maybe, towards the end of the week, although another rain system, I was listening to the news this morning, another rain system was going to be handed down or coming down maybe Thursday or so. So keep that in mind if you do have weekend Tahoe plans. Let's get, oh God, yeah. I mean, that's an understatement, Calvin. It was a blizzard in Tahoe. They were saying something like, I want to say 160 mile per hour winds, or at some of the highest locations. Insane. Absolutely insane. All right, we're going to get to the Supreme Court ruling. I swear I had my alarm set. I wanted to get up right at 7 o'clock, which I normally do anyway, but I had to be on like the news to get to hear the ruling from the Supreme Court. I want, before we get to it, I want you guys to consider, how do you feel about the ruling? I'll explain why I'm a bit torn. But at the same time, I understand, obviously, we still have the presidential immunity case. So let me know how you feel, first off, about the Supreme Court ruling as we, kind of do a deep dive into it. And then how optimistic you are that this court is going to, rule a different way when it comes to presidential immunity. Two totally different things, but I know a lot of people don't have a lot of confidence in this conservative court. All right, before we get to all of that, you guys, please click the thumbs up button. Show your support for the show. It helps us out. The super chat is also live, so you can throw us a super sticker, a super thanks, a super comment. And of course, if you do it live during the show, then we read it on air. And then, of course, please donate to our Patreon. It's money that we can just, kind of depend on every single month. And just go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. Click the link. The Patreon link is right there. You could donate any amount you want to. It's just one time a month. So whatever day you do on Patreon is the day that you get charged, kind of thing. So if you like things in the middle of the month, maybe make your subscription then. But we appreciate all the financial support for this 100% crowdfunded show. And if you like PayPal, which doesn't take as much of a hit, go to paypal.com. Just click the send button and then put in the email, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. Also, I thank you to Lee. I thank you so much for sending me another recipe that I will get up there. I have a What's Cooking on the Nikki Maduro Show Substack newsletter that you can subscribe to as well. It's free. And I've been putting some of the recipes and restaurant recommendations that we have. I have a couple things right now. It's slowly growing. And so if you want to put something on there, there's the Substack. It's thenikkimadoroshow.substack.com. All of this is in the show notes, as always. So go there. And if you have something that you want me to include in a recommendation, pardon me, you can email it to me at my email, thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. My list of favorite things is also up. There's links there as well. And thank you to all of you who have been loving the Get Some Z's newsletter that I've also been doing, where there's a free sleep tracker diary. So all of that is in the show notes. So click the more button right under this video, and you'll see all of the links there. And there's the Facebook. I also have an Instagram, but Get Some Z's, ZEEZ is the word for that. And we can do, and you can get the free sleep tracker through that link as well. Okay, so we have been following, obviously, very closely the decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. This was the 14th Amendment case. It came down around 7 o'clock this morning. Oh, and I'm hearing the beeping. Kim McAllister has joined us. Let's say good morning to you, Kim McAllister.
What up,
hello.
everybody?
Hi.
Hey.
Thought we were happy today. So glad. It's a big day today with news. So I'm really, really happy that you're able to join us today.
Yes. Well, this is not unexpected, right?
No, it is not unexpected. So I want to play a little video first. And of course, there's so much analysis going on, but a lot of people are saying the same thing. This is just with Jonathan Karl, a longtime Nikki Madera show friend, on with David Muir on ABC, kind of talking about this Supreme Court ruling. Here we go.
Ironically, this amendment was made to reduce the power, not increase the power of the states here. And certainly what they've avoided here is a patchwork of states where Donald Trump is on the ballot or not on the ballot. That's just simply not going to happen.
It's fascinating to read this opinion. They make both of those points. One, they talk about how the 14th Amendment, of course, coming after the Civil War, was designed to keep the Confederates from coming back into power, envisioning a situation where Confederates would take over the state legislatures of the former Confederate states and use that power to try to sway, to try to sway the federal government. So this talks about how this amendment was not designed to expand state power, it was designed to limit state power. So the idea that we would give the states through the 14th Amendment the power to choose who could not be on the ballot simply doesn't make any sense. And they talked about the practical impact as well, saying you could see different states having different reasons for disqualifying candidates from the ballot and having a different threshold of proof. Some states may say if a candidate's been convicted of the crime of insurrection, they would be banned. Others saying just simply if the Secretary of State or election officials believed that to be the case. So they said you can't have that kind of a patchwork, and they use that word patchwork, different states having different reasons for banning somebody from the ballot. It would throw our entire system of electing a president up in the air.
John Carler, thanks to you as well. I want to go back to Terry Moran at the Supreme Court because, Terry, as we were talking about with Devin there, the Supreme Court is going to have to take up this issue of immunity in the separate federal interference case that involves January 6th. But without going too much further into that case, they did give a very strong indication in today's decision that they believe ultimately who should be president really should be decided at the ballot box.
Yeah, that's a great point, David. The whole panoply of cases brought against Donald Trump in all kinds of courts, not just the Supreme Court, but courts across the country, all have basically one aim: to stop him from getting back into the White House. And what the court says in this case is that the Constitution is clear that this route is not available. And across the country, there's a sense among voters that there's something not kosher about that, if you will, that they are pushing back against this and saying that the only way to decide who gets into the White House shouldn't rest in the courts or with prosecutors or juries. It should rest with voters in the ballot.
Okay. So again, let me know what you guys think about the U.S. Supreme Court decision. But I wanted to start with the last thing that was said right there, was that it's up to the voters to decide, right? That it should be determined at the ballot box. It was in 2020. And Donald Trump couldn't accept it. That's the problem with this sort of thing, is this idea that Trump and the MAGAs have, which is if we don't like the result, then there must have been election fraud. And they pushed it so hard that we saw what we saw on January 6th. And that is my problem with this whole decision. I do agree, though, and I'm going to say this, I do agree with the idea of this can be manipulated if states are allowed to kick people off the ballots. Look just at the impeachment process that happens inside Congress, right? All of a sudden, we don't like something, we're going to start an impeachment inquiry, and it's going to be so distracting. So you could see how things like this can be manipulated. I don't feel like that there was any sort of question with Donald Trump regarding what he was trying to do. And I understand the motivation of states like Colorado to not even want him to be considered for the ballot. But if every state does that, they could pull whatever they want to out of their butt and make it seem like, oh, this person is not qualified, and really create chaos with our elections. Did they have to go as far as they did? I don't think so. But at the same time, I understand, Kim, why they did not want to go as far as saying, yes, every single state can decide on their own without any sort of conviction, without any sort of ruling by Congress, who is and is not on the ballot.
I think it's a just total disappointment to me, because it seems so obvious as to when you read that clause in the Constitution, as to, they talk about, oh, it was a civil war. Well, look at what happened. Why don't you address what happened on January 6th? Right?
I mean,
tell me why that is not applicable.
Well, they weren't ruling on whether or not Donald Trump was guilty of insurrection. That's not what they were looking at. They were looking at, could states decide without a conviction, without a trial, who can and cannot be on the ballot.
But that's exactly what the Constitution says. It doesn't say you have to be convicted in there.
Yeah, it does not say that.
So what, are they just now making up rules because they don't like the fact that it's Trump that's affected by this?
Right.
I don't know. It's frustrating because if you look at the language in the Constitution, it seemed pretty cut and dried to me.
Right. And so again, the justices said, and this was actually only 5 of them. So it was kind of a split decision. It was 5-4 on the breadth of this decision. And the 5 justices held that the only way to enforce Section 3 of the 14th Amendment against federal office holders or office seekers is through a statute enacted by Congress. The other 4 didn't want to go as far. Amy Coney Barrett wrote a concurrence with Sotomayor and Kagan and Jackson that all insist that they would have stopped with barring a state from disqualifying a presidential candidate. But then the other 5 justices went as far as saying it could only be enacted through a statute by Congress. So they were kind of pointing to Congress as, you guys need to do something in order for this to be held, which I agree with Amy Coney Barrett and the others. It didn't need to go that far. It didn't need to go that far. And there's going to be consequences for that. Let's go to some of the comments. Randy, again, agreeing with Jonathan Karl and others on ABC News. The SCOTUS ruling today was no surprise. Just beat Trump at the ballot box. Gordon says, I'm very unhappy about the ruling. Kay says, it's understandable, although I wish it went the other way. I agree. Would I have been upset? Look, would I have been upset if the Supreme Court said, yeah, no, it's obvious what Donald Trump did. States like Colorado do have the right to do this. I also think there could have been a big argument for the fact that our elections are run on a state-by-state level. They are not, it's not centralized federally. It is by the state. It is kind of a checks and balance on the state. I also understand the concern, though. I understand the concern. And I'm going to say this, and I know that this is my politics showing. I really do think that the Republican Party would weaponize this immediately. Immediately, if there was if President Biden won re-election again, or another Democratic candidate won the presidential election, they would weaponize it. They would use whatever they had to under this. So is it a slippery slope? I think so. I do also think that when we have things in our Constitution that have not been tested, this is why we're in the situation in which we are. There was no set kind of trigger point that something would be enacted clear enough in the Constitution. Susan says the court has been one-sided, so I expected this, but I feel it's not a wise decision and supports Trump all the more. Okay. No, that's not it. Viewfinder says it was political. They are waiting to the last day to pull the rabbit out of the hat. It's too late. I feel like they needed to rule today. Tomorrow is Super Tuesday. We'll get in a little bit. Nikki Haley actually won a primary in Washington, D.C., which was, I don't know if it's huge, but hey, at least it's not a clean sweep for Trump. Nancy says, I don't think states should kick people off ballots. I cannot vote for them on my own. Thanks. I like that comment, Nancy. I mean, I really don't feel like there's too many voters. I'm not going to say none. I don't think there's too many voters that are like, well, I was not going to vote for Trump, and now that he's on the ballot, I am. Right? If you're not going to vote for Trump, you're not going to vote for Trump. If you're not going to vote for a candidate, I think that is definitely it's not going to change too much. I think it's just the risk. It's just the risk of having people like that on the ballot. Let's see. A lot of you are mentioning, and I did not see it. I saw a little bit of a clip and then some criticism about the SNL opening skit. I think it was skewering Biden, right? Eric saying Biden's toast is the wealthy Dem donors' way of having him. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch it, but I think it had to do with something with possibly his age, which seems to be the lowest hanging fruit. Vilma says, even though the Supreme Court may have gotten the ruling right in this case, I don't feel they followed the Constitution. If you lead an insurrection, you can become president. And again, I think the argument, especially during before the Supreme Court, and the question that was asked by Jackson, all of them was kind of like, well, at what point do we decide whether or not someone has committed an insurrection, and does that ruling have to come down before we can trigger something like this? And Kim, you're right. It doesn't say anything in it that there needs to be a conviction. But then you can accuse anyone of an insurrection and not have to prove it. And we know that the Republican Party is the party of accusing with no evidence. Right? So what is to stop the Republican Party from accusing President Biden of an insurrection? They don't need to prove it. They don't need to have any sort of system in place. That's why I understand that there needs to be some sort of either a congressional decision or something to prove it happened. Now, should Jack Smith have brought this case much earlier so we could have had an answer to the question of insurrection? Absolutely. But, there was so much dragging of the feet. And again, I think a little bit of being naive that Trump would make a comeback. I mean, I am still partially surprised that the Republican Party couldn't come up with a better candidate. But they've drinking from the tea to Trump for so long that it's hard. Exactly, Eric. What if the Republican majority decides to move Biden off the ballot? Exactly.
What happened to common sense?
We're talking about Washington and politics.
We know what happened on January 6th. So what are we saying then? We're saying that it's all right that turns out that our system of government is so fragile that, we're just going to go ahead and not have any consequences at all. I mean, here we have this built into the Constitution where we can restrict the person and say, no, you cannot do this in America. You cannot refuse to leave office. You cannot whip up controversy about the election and the results of the election. You cannot do this in America and then turn around and say you want to be the president again and run again. There's no consequences for this at all?
Right. Well,
what sense does that make?
We are hoping. We're hoping that there are criminal cases against it. But again, Kim, that's coming before, or that's coming after this ruling. I mean, Jack Smith's case is still going forward, hopefully, as long as the Supreme Court rules that the president isn't immune. And I will say a lot of the signs are pointing to the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court, this conservative court, is not going to grant Trump presidential immunity. If they don't do that, I mean, if they rule that he has full immunity from anything that he does, that's insane. And then then I'm with you. But none of that has come down yet. And so I agree with you, Kim. I think that common sense, it's so obvious what Trump did. He totally disqualified himself from leading this nation. Everything that he said on the first day, I'm going to be a dictator. All of those things should disqualify Trump. But when you bring it all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, there's going to be questions that are going to be asked. And you have to think outside of this case, right? You have to think, what precedent will this ruling have in future elections? And I think that, and I'm not going to speak for this, I mean, I think that that's what the 9-0 majority was thinking. As far as the breadth, I don't think that they should have, said that Congress needs to do this, that, and the other. I just think it simply had to do with the fact that Colorado shouldn't decide on its own whether or not, before a conviction, and I understand that it's not in the 14th Amendment, but without any sort of evidence or case, that somebody's not on the ballot. I'm curious to see how the Colorado election turns out, right? I mean, I want to see how much of a difference this actually makes. He was already printed on the ballot. He was always going to be on the ballot. He's there. He is there right now. So I don't know. I mean, it is disappointing. I'm not saying it's not. Yeah, it is. And I think the fact that people don't trust this U.S. Supreme Court weighs heavily on so many people's minds. But that was the decision. Obviously, people like House Speaker Mike Johnson and everyone are saying this was a partisan attack. It wasn't a partisan attack. I think it was a valid case. But the Supreme Court did not address at all whether or not Donald Trump was an insurrectionist. It didn't. It didn't address that at all. All it said was that he couldn't be removed and Colorado could not make that decision. And it's frustrating. I get it. The majority of the Supreme Court, just to remind you, though, did say that Congress would need to act, which the 14th Amendment does not say. So I don't know how we're going to, come to terms with that.
It's like they're just making it up.
Yeah. Well, again, I say it so many times, it's never been tested before. And when things like this have not been tested, you have to leave it up to the people that are on the high court at this moment to make the decision. Now, of course, Trump is going to use this to his advantage. Of course he is. But there's so many other court cases against Donald Trump that if the Republicans were smart, there's no guarantee that this guy is not going to be in prison, even if he is elected president. And that's who you're going to choose. That's who you're going to choose. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the first criminal trial will take place later this month. That's where he's accused of falsifying business records. The trial date for the classified document case in Florida has been set for late May, but the judge overseeing that case revisited the timing of the trial during the hearing on March 1st. So there's not a new date for that trial. And all of this is happening while this campaign is going. It's absolutely insane. I'm like looking at a calendar of all of these trials in the midst of this. Super Tuesday tomorrow. On March 25th, the hush money criminal trial starts. In May, the classified documents trial starts sometime in May. Then the Republican National Convention in July. And then in August, right after that, the Fulton County prosecutors has a proposed trial date set for August. And then August, September, October, November, who knows what's going to be here. Randy doesn't think that Trump's going to go to jail.
He's probably right. I mean, if this is any indication.
Well, this is the Supreme Court. There's a difference between the Supreme Court and criminal trials.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's just a matter of him. I mean, obviously, but it's a matter of him just not ever having to pay any repercussions for anything. It's another,
Yeah. But again, and we'll get into this, and again, tomorrow's Super Tuesday. How many of you have filled out your ballots? I was listening to someone say this morning, it doesn't have the feel, at least in this primary election, of it being a presidential election year. It does feel a little bit like people are not engaged as much. I would hope that everybody that watches the Nikki Madera show has filled out their ballot or is voting tomorrow. I was encouraged by the fact that I went to a fundraiser for my kids' school over the weekend, and it was at a place where it was also a voting center. And there were people there at 6 o'clock at night turning in ballots. So I was encouraged by that. But you have to stay engaged. You can't throw up your hands because people are voting. Like, you could say, oh, I don't care about voting. People are voting for you then. Totally voting for you. Mm-hmm. And there's important things on the state ballot, not just like the U.S. Senate race, local elections, right? Assembly seats, Prop 1 on the ballot. So there are all sorts of decisions that are going to be made, whether you vote or not. And I would say I'd much rather have a say, even if my person doesn't get elected or, whatever measure passes or doesn't pass. But I'm not going to let other people make that decision for me. Absolutely not. I'm proud of you, Ricky. See, there you go. I turn mine in tomorrow. So after I get off the air tomorrow, I'll go down and I always like to turn it in by hand and get my I voted sticker. So I'll definitely be doing that. But yeah, you have to stay engaged. And I don't know what November is going to look like. I really, really don't. All right, let's do some more headlines. A lot of you were talking in the comments about hearing people driving up to Tahoe. I can't imagine doing that. I will also share, actually, let me do this before headlines because I did want to play you a little clip, just to round out the national politics about Nikki Haley. I mentioned it. She had won the Washington, D.C. Somebody was saying, and I thought it was so accurate, that the reason why she won the Washington, D.C. primary is because it's the closest to the political nonsense that is going on this year. So here's a little bit of a CNN report regarding Nikki Haley.
Haley giving any signs that this may be the end of the road for her?
You know, Manu, she is continuing to keep up the fight here with more than a dozen states up for grabs on Super Tuesday. She's busy crisscrossing the country, continuing to campaign. She'll be here in Vermont later this afternoon. And really key to her argument is electability. She continues to argue that in a general election, she would be more competitive against President Biden than former President Donald Trump. She's citing that New York Times poll that just came out that has her beating Biden in November by 10 points. But, you know, I was just with her in Michigan, and I asked her which state she thought that she could outright win. And she did not give me a definitive response. Still, she says that Republican primary voters, that they deserve a real choice and that this should not be a coronation.
Right.
Let's listen.
I've always said this needs to be competitive. As long as we are competitive, as long as we are showing that there is a place for us, I'm going to continue to fight. That's always been the case.
Would you see yourself as competitive if you didn't win on Super Tuesday, any state?
Well, usually y'all are the ones that decide what's competitive and what's not. We're going to continue to just keep pushing through.
I don't think that Nikki Haley is going to stay in the race after Super Tuesday. I don't see how she has a path to winning after Super Tuesday. It'll be interesting to see if she throws her support behind Donald Trump. She's said before that she's not going to do something like that, but I doubt she's going to throw her support behind Biden. I wonder if she's going to do the whole, third party thing, right? We'll see. Yeah, Vilma doesn't have much faith. Nikki Haley's a joke. She runs against Trump and then turns around and says she'll support him. I really hope that, that she has a little bit of a spine. But again, Nikki Haley isn't that different from Donald Trump, except she's not him. The only thing in my mind, as someone who would never vote for either, that Nikki Haley has is she's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is dangerous because of his, I'll just call it mental illness. The guy is freaking delusional. The guy is delusional. He lies. I think that if Nikki Haley lost to Biden, she would accept it. Those are the things. And the bar is so freaking low if that is the thing. But that, honestly, is the only thing that makes Nikki Haley any different to me than Donald Trump. Policy-wise, she is walking hand in hand with Donald Trump. She's not different. She's not a different Republican. She's just not freaking delusional. And I will take that. If I had my choice, I would choose the candidate that is not delusional. All right. So that's national politics. Let's do some headlines. And then we'll I have some videos from the huge blizzard in Lake Tahoe. And there was another storm system that was shocking people in the Central Valley. Click the thumbs up button, show your support for the show. And here's Kim with some news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Madera Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, as my friend Nikki Madera has mentioned, the Supreme Court is unanimously ruling that former President Trump will remain on the presidential primary ballot in the state of Colorado. The state Supreme Court earlier ruled to remove Trump from the ballot, claiming he was an insurrectionist when he incited the January 6th U.S. Capitol riot. Trump celebrated the decision in a post on his social network site, Truth Social, calling it a big win for America, and he is expected to speak very soon.
Oh, great. I mean, this has been a witch hunt. You already know what he's going to say. He's going to say the same nonsense. Did you guys see the video, though, of Trump over the weekend? He couldn't remember some politician's name. Everybody that criticizes Biden for being forgetful or whatever really needs to take a close look at Trump. He is not in his right mind.
No, he swapped Biden's name for Obama's name again.
Again. I swear to goodness gracious. Okay, whatever.
This fire in Texas is still going. This
That's
is a
crazy.
massive wildfire.
That is crazy.
It's now has been for a few days, the largest in Texas's history. It may have been started by a fallen utility pole. We know that in California, right?
Yeah, we do.
This, according to a number of lawsuits and property insurance claims, the utility that serves the Texas Panhandle is being ordered now to preserve what's left of the pole. Flames have torched more than 1 million acres of land and have caused the deaths of at least 2 people.
Wow.
Heavy snow here in California really crippling California's highways and creating life-threatening conditions around the Lake Tahoe area. One wind gust clocked at 190 miles per hour.
Ooh, that is crazy.
It is wild. More than 100 miles of Interstate 80 remain closed Sunday from the Nevada border onward. A lot of people just hunkering down. It's hard to believe anybody would get out on the roadway in that. But look.
No, but somebody was saying, oh, hold on. Somebody was saying that, Jim, I had a client drop a dog off Saturday night at my house because they said they were going to go skiing in Tahoe. I told them they're crazy. I've not heard from them. So either they're dead or made it. Oh, Jim, I hope they're alive. But yeah, like we were saying this on Friday. People were like, yeah, I'm just going to pack water and blankets. Why? Just stop. The snow's not going anywhere. Like it's going to be there. There's so much fresh powder. Don't risk your life and also make it difficult for people trying to clear the roads. So yeah, it's crazy.
Someone has to go out and rescue you in that.
Yes, that's true too.
Come on. As you mentioned, Nikki Haley did manage to come away with a win. She picked up her first win of the 2024 primary season in Washington, D.C. The former South Carolina governor took 63% of the vote Sunday, becoming the first woman to win a Republican primary in U.S. history. Just over 2,000 D.C. residents took part in the 3-day primary in the nation's capital.
Wow.
In San Francisco, not very good report. Multiple public schools could close their doors for good within the next 2 years. The San Francisco Chronicle reports the San Francisco Unified School District is working on a plan that would ultimately lead to the closure of an unknown number of schools by the year 2025. The school district believes such closures are necessary because they're dealing with the loss of about 10,000 students since 2005. Yeah. No specific schools are being targeted for closure as of now, the district trying to figure out how to stay afloat considering the student loss and a massive budget shortfall as well.
Yeah, I was listening to a news report about this. And I mean, this could fundamentally change, just the makeup of San Francisco. You're going to close all of these schools. And I never understand. I would hope that if you have fewer students, it just means smaller class sizes. But the funding structure for these schools makes it not feasible to even keep them open because of obviously rent and upkeep and things like that. But it just seems San Francisco isn't kid friendly. People don't want to walk their kids down certain streets in certain neighborhoods. And then when they do get to school, the schools some of them are run down. That's the ones that they're, going to try to close now that they have such fewer students. But nobody, and then I don't know about, and Kim, you live in Petaluma. I live in San Jose. So it's not, I don't think that it's that way for you. But the school appointment system where your kid goes to school is freaking complicated in San Francisco. So that doesn't make it even parent friendly. Like, I just want to know where I can go to school if I live in this neighborhood. And it's complicated in San Francisco. I remember our old friend Jenna Lane was discussing it years ago, and it sounded just like a total cluster about where you can go and how far you would have to go.
Thing.
Yeah, and like what school you wanted to get into because this school's good and that school's not. It's nuts. And so I'm not surprised that this is going to happen, but San Francisco is just making itself even less desirable for families. And if you factor in, that the whole work from home, remote, hybrid working is impacting business and office buildings, San Francisco has a come to Jesus moment. It needs to figure out how it draws people to not just visit, but to live in the city.
Let's talk about what happened in Sonoma County. This is a pretty serious story. 4 Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies were injured in a shooting with a gunman in West Santa Rosa. Happened just after midnight this morning. The Sonoma deputies were responding to reports of someone with a rifle. They found the suspect. The suspect leads them on this chase, and during the chase, the suspect opens fire. The deputies say they returned fire. The suspect crashed the vehicle, but 4 deputies were injured. 1 shot in the leg, 2 in the hands, and 1 in the head. That deputy said to be in critical condition in the hospital. The suspect died at the scene. The Santa Rosa police now taking over this investigation, but again, 4 Sonoma County Sheriff's deputies injured in this overnight shooting.
It's terrible.
Meanwhile, equally as terrible, this little boy, I don't know if you've been following this story. There's a fundraiser being set up for the family of this young boy who was fatally shot in Santa Clara.
Oh, no. I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, his name is Ivan Martinez Alvarado. He was shot in the head as he slept in his crib on February 20th. This 3-year-old boy shot by his mother's boyfriend.
Oh, yes, I heard about this. Oh,
The boyfriend has been charged with murder.
Yes.
The fundraiser for the Martinez Alvarado family is to help pay for the funeral expenses as well as a new place for them to live as well. Sad.
How do you do that to a child?
I don't even
I mean,
know.
just, I'm not a huge death penalty person. I'm not, but like these sorts of things, 100% in my opinion.
That little baby boy.
I
mean,
know.
come on.
It's so awful.
And since I'm on the string of violence here, at least 4 people are dead after what police are calling a mass shooting, and on the Central Coast, at least, Central California, at least authorities say several people with guns opened fire at a birthday party in King City. At least 3 other people were taken to the hospital with injuries, no arrest yet. So 4 dead, 3 injured after a birthday party shooting in King City.
Wow.
Back to San Jose. I think somebody tried to rip off the fire department and succeeded.
Oh, no.
The search is on for firefighter gear stolen from a San Jose fire station. Firefighters with Station 8 say the station was burglarized this last Saturday. Someone able to break in and steal gear alongside with firefighters' personal items. Initial investigations have led firefighters to believe the suspect responsible is a homeless person, but no arrests have been made in this case. They have to secure that place better.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's secure it, and what are you going to do with firefighting gear? I mean, I guess if they're homeless and you're cold, unless you're, I don't know, a stripper and you want to show up at somebody's house dressed as a firefighter. I mean, what are you going to do with all their gear? I don't know what use you. Are you going to sell it on
Why do you want
the flea
that?
market? Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing with it? They need it. Jeez.
I don't know if you've seen this story. The estate of Sinead O'Connor
I did, yeah.
is asking Donald Trump not to play her music at campaign rallies, saying the late singer considered the former president a biblical devil. Trump has played O'Connor's biggest hit, Nothing Compares to You, at events that he campaigns for as the Republican presidential nomination continues. So
yeah, I
she
highly
says
doubt Sinead
no.
O'Connor would be a Trumper. Sorry. Although, nobody should speak for the dead, of course, but everything that people know about Sinead O'Connor, she wouldn't. And that's interesting. Like, if they passed away already, how difficult is it to enforce those sorts of things?
Well, her estate owns the music.
Right.
The
but
estate of her family and whoever owns the rights to that music, if they say no, you don't do it, right?
he seems to always get in these problems. Like, does he not know he's supposed to ask first?
I mean,
like,
play some, what is it? Play Kid Rock and then move
yeah,
on.
just play Kid Rock. That's it. You know that Kid Rock loves you. Just play him.
This is a new species. Not new, but new to us.
Okay.
A team of scientists from the University of Queensland discovered this nearly 10 million year old species, which they named the northern green anaconda. He's a big one.
Yeah.
A professor who led the team says one of the female anacondas they came across measured over 20 feet long.
Wow.
The discovery made while filming National Geographic's upcoming series Pole to Pole with Will Smith. The team is hoping to learn more about the health of the ecosystem by keeping an eye on this northern green anaconda's reproduction. Imagine finding a snake that we didn't know about during the production of a series like this.
Wow. 20 feet. God, it gave me chills when you said it. I would not want to be in an encounter with that anaconda. Interesting. Yeah. 20 feet. That's big.
I mean, yeah, that's a big old snake.
Katie's like, he was cute until you mentioned that he's 20 feet long.
He's 20 feet long.
He keeps going and going and going. Yeah, no.
I mean, come on now. This is
God, no.
Yeah.
No, that was freaking me out. No, thank you.
I have a story about feet.
Uh-oh. Okay, everybody get their kinks out. Let's go.
I have a story about feet and children.
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Is it we're going down that road?
I don't know what they were thinking.
Okay.
Or who decided that, in the PTA meeting, who decided this would be a good fundraiser? I just don't know. So I'm going to put up a picture of random feet. All right.
Everybody's donating to the show now.
Are we ready? Pudding time. Yeah. A fundraising event at an Oklahoma public school is going viral after kids licked peanut butter off the feet of fellow students.
Shut up.
No joke. Kids at Deer Creek High School outside of Oklahoma City licked peanut butter off the feet of fellow students. The Oklahoma Superintendent of Schools is now vowing an investigation, calling the event filth.
Ew.
The school released a statement saying the students involved had signed up for the fundraiser. Well, gee, that makes it okay. It brought in more than $152,000 for a coffee shop that employs people with developmental disorders.
Of course somebody's ringing their doorbell. Too busy.
I'm just too busy for their feet. Sorry, people.
Oh my God.
I mean, who in their right mind? Those are some dirty feet. Look at that.
I know. Well, they're at the beach, I would assume.
Yeah.
But, wow.
Is that crazy?
Sorry.
Like I'm telling you, in what PTA meeting was this decision made? Who said, yeah, let's have this idea. This is a great idea. Let's have them lick peanut butter off each other. It's a high school. It's an Oklahoma high school.
Oh my God. I would never. I'm sorry. Okay. Hold on. I'm trying to
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Here's my question. I have so many questions actually about this.
Yeah.
So what would you do? What would you have to be given? What cause would it have to be for you to ever, in any way, shape, or form? And I'm not going to talk about like your partner if you want to get kinky in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Another person.
Do what you want to do. Consensual, whatever. Yeah,
right.
You're not hurting each other. Go get it. Right.
Right. But what would it like if you could clean the foot yourself? Right. Like there's no way, shape, or form that I would ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care how clean that foot is. I don't care if I wash that foot. I don't care if that foot was like in bleach and then hydrogen peroxide and then skinned first. I have no idea. There is no way in hell I am putting my tongue on somebody else's foot. That's just never happening.
Your children?
No, I don't care. That's gross. That is gross. Ew, and I feel like that's inappropriate if you're licking your own child's foot.
Well, no,
a
that's
high
gross.
schooler? That's
but I'm
disgusting.
saying like,
I kiss baby feet.
Right.
I kiss them. I kiss baby feet. I'm not licking baby feet.
No.
No. That is so
this
gross.
was kissing and sucking on the feet. And this was part of the high school's high school's annual philanthropy week. So the high school's giving back, like there was a fundraiser for someone else, right? So in this case, they decide to raise money for this coffee shop that employs people with developmental disabilities. Now there's video of this, but I think that's kind of a little porny, so I'm not going to play kids licking on feet.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't want to watch it anyway. I get my mind does enough. Let me just say that. My mind does enough. Okay, so the kids signed up for it.
Here's what it looked like. 4 kids from Deer Creek High laying on their belly on what appears to be the gym floor, furiously lapping up peanut butter off their peers' bare feet.
Off the top or the bottom?
It looks like a little bit of both.
No, like part of me even was like, okay, if it's the ankle, it's not as, I don't know, man. That is so friggin' gross.
This video racked up nearly 50 million views on social media in just 24 hours.
I can imagine. But who comes up with this idea? Whose idea was it? Like, who was the one that raised their hand and said, you know what I think would work? But $150K?
Students from 9th through 12th grade volunteered to participate in all of these class competitions that their peers paid to attend, including the toe sucking tournament.
This is Oklahoma.
Administrators initially applauded the students for their involvement in the wonderful week of fundraising, which raised $152,830.38. They later backtracked and apologized.
Yeah. Viewfinder says the high school will lose its money it made paying for psych services for those children traumatized by the activity. I mean, and it sucks, but now you're on video. These children's faces are on a video in which they are sucking and licking peanut butter off of other kids' feet. That is going to follow them. I'm sorry. I want to know, like, was there a permission slip? Did the parents have to give the okay?
Was there a permission slip? I, Nikki Madera, will allow my child.
I would think that there would have to be. I have to sign things like my son wants to go for student council. I have to sign it. I have to sign things. So I would imagine. Now, let me ask you this. Is it wrong if there was a permission slip and the parents gave the okay?
No, you can't have a school sanctioned event where something that could be considered some type of sexual thing is on display. No, you can't. You shouldn't.
Let's go down the list of other things that could be fetishes.
Highly poor taste.
Like, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do? What if it was? What if it was?
Here she goes.
No. I'm trying to think of things like that are like with feet, but not. Okay. What if it was tickling? Like everyone had a feather and everyone had to tickle the foot of a fellow student. I don't think I'd have a problem with that, and that could be fetish like.
No, I think that would be all right.
Right? Like that's like a tickle contest or something. Even though
what I think it is about the sucking of the feet.
It's disgusting.
It feels, well, yeah, there's that. But it also feels, in a way, the students that signed up for the toe sucking, it feels like they're being demeaned or like, I don't know.
Right. Like lick it off my foot.
Lick my boots. Like, yeah, no, I don't like this. A student said it was surprising. I didn't think they were going to do all that. I was shocked. I didn't really have a feeling. I was just kind of disgusted. And then I was glad I wasn't over there.
I am loving this story. I am.
One parent said that's excessive.
Yeah. And Vilma makes a good point that the activity should not have been filmed. It isn't porn until someone believes it to be. And I will tell you this, like even this picture up on the screen, like some people, like they just love it, right? Like it's fine. Like feet are a thing to be. And
Whatever.
I'm not saying like you have a thing for feet, you have a thing for feet. But I just feel like with these kids and actually licking food off of something that is, I'm sorry, dirty. Like your feet are not always clean. They're stuck in shoes. Like, you know how some people say I won't eat at anybody else's house because you know how clean their kitchen is?
Right.
Like, I'm sure as hell not putting their foot in my mouth. Like it should not have been filmed. Someone's going to find that online and probably hawk it and make money off of it. But if parents signed the permission slip, I think that the parents should be held accountable, but there needs to be a conversation.
I don't even want to show you that they've blurred out the faces, but I don't even want to show you the still pictures of this. I mean, it's just somehow like you look at it and you're like, no. So the school district puts out this official statement. Here's what they have to say. There is a video circulating on social media of one of the activities that involves students only during this assembly that has unfortunately gained national attention. We want to stress to our community that much of the information accompanying this video is inaccurate.
What's inaccurate?
Nothing.
Yeah, what's inaccurate about? Did they or did they not put peanut butter on feet and another student licked it off? If those things are true, then the thing is true.
Check mark, check mark.
Yes.
However, through this specific game, we failed to uphold the dignity of our students and the proud image of our community.
You think?
We have a responsibility to protect our antlers and showcase them in a positive light. In regards to this one particular activity, we fell short. And for that, we greatly apologize.
Oh, the Okies. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I can't believe that in the hierarchy of an idea coming to fruition that anybody wasn't like, maybe this is going to be taken wrong. Nobody thought perhaps.
You have to see. I mean, the pictures, it's like, oh my God.
I'm Googling this later.
Are you kidding me?
No. I'm definitely going to be Googling this later.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, Calvin, it's 2024 and peanut butter feet licking is allowed in school. I'm telling you.
During the video, one student can be heard yelling, "Oh, he's devouring those."
Oh, no.
There's an MC moderating this whole competition, this toe sucking thing. Yeah.
I will tell you, okay, if I didn't have a problem with it, being the MC of an event like this would totally crack me up. No.
Meanwhile, $152,000 raised for a business that does really good, work in the community.
And it wasn't the business's idea. They just
No.
wanted to do a fundraiser. So let's not.
It was
bag
philanthropy
on the
week.
Oh,
Maybe
that
it was.
is
Maybe
so
they came up
funny.
with it in the ASB room. I don't know.
I just can't. I can't believe that this was
Yeah.
actually an idea. You know, would it be any different if it was hands? Would you look at it differently if it was hands? I feel like hands are gross too, but I feel like if you wash your hands, it's different than feet.
I think in the
I don't think you should be licking each other. How about that?
How far out of COVID are we? Like
True.
it wasn't so far. We're not so far removed from plastic barriers between each other.
Oh, that's so funny.
From having to, go to school at home on video.
Yeah.
We're not so far removed from having to wear a mask at school. And now it's okay. You want to stick a finger or a toe in someone's face? No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it grabs eyeballs and
Yes,
toes.
Calvin.
Calvin says,
What
"What
happened
about
to
the
the car
traditional
wash?"
car wash?" Exactly. You know,
That wouldn't have raised 152 grand.
You know, I get it. Well,
That's a lot of
really
car washing.
friggin' gross.
Yeah.
I would never let my kid do that. That's awful.
You took the foot picture down.
I did.
You were feeling uncomfortable with the feet.
I'm like, all right, we're done looking at these dirty ass
How are you
feet.
going to stick your feet in pudding if you're uncomfortable with the feet on the screen?
I'm not sticking my feet in pudding. Don't get that a whole rumor started again. Absolutely not.
This report is sponsored by you.
Peanut butter, Skippy peanut butter. There you go.
Oh, you know what? Do we care that Trump is speaking now live?
No, we don't.
We don't
Sorry,
care?
if you want to put it on I'm talking to the listeners, not you.
No,
No,
yeah.
because I know what he's gonna say. This bill, whatever, witch hunt,
Yeah.
all that sort of crap. So we know what he's gonna say. That's fine.
This report is sponsored by you, which means we do rely on you to help fund the Nikki Maduro Show. I can make a foot joke here, but I won't. Please find us at thenikkimaduroshow.com, thenikkimaduroshow.com. The Patreon link is there. The PayPal link is there. The super chat, super stickers are open here on YouTube. We appreciate you guys for loving the show, for being here, for supporting it as well.
Thank you.
I'm Kim McAllister. You have it on the Nikki Maduro Show this morning.
Thank you. All right, there were some insane pictures from the storm over the weekend, but I wanted to show this one because, again, we were talking about, driving in this sort of weather. Now, again, they have said, don't drive today. I think they're saying in a few days, maybe by midweek, end of the week, you could try going up there because then at least they'd have the roads open. 80 is still closed for most part. But watch this video that AccuWeather put up about driving in this sort of weather. I mean, you can't even see. This is on Donner Pass. Getting towed. See the tow strap right there? Totally stuck. And this is why they don't want you going. Look at that. I mean, the wind was blowing so hard. If I wasted my time.
Just trying to dig out, too. Not even trying to go anywhere.
Just trying to dig out why. It's snowing on you. Oh my God. Miserable.
For sure.
Like it's all the way up in the tires. Snow machine trying to blow. No. Nope. Not going anywhere. Not going anywhere at all. So if anybody was trying to do it, this is what they were dealing with in Tahoe. Look at that. Can you imagine being stuck in all of that snow? So yeah, it wasn't a fun time for people that did try to make it. Let's see. So this was over the weekend. 80 was closed. 50 had traffic holds with a D. 89 was closed. It was just insane. And I know people love the fresh powder, but like Kim had mentioned earlier, it's just going to lead to, first responders and everyone just trying to get people out. And hopefully nobody, I mean, I don't think I've heard, and Kim, you haven't heard anybody like being killed or injured or anything like that, but it's almost impossible to drive in that sort of weather.
Mm-hmm.
The ski resort, this was Palisades, recorded 31 inches of snow. This was on Sunday. Yesterday they said it, bringing the storm's total to 6 feet. That's taller than me. I mean, a lot of things are taller than me, but that's taller than me. I would be buried in snow. Calvin says some people think their all-wheel drive SUV or 4x4 trucks can make it through the storm. Wrong. Yeah. No. We know people. I know people that live even just kind of on the way to Tahoe, but like, where the snow was getting so low, and they were just hunkering down. Randy says I grew up in Michigan. Don't have an issue with being in the snow. Heather does not miss that crap at all. I would never. Snow to me is something you visit and then leave. JT says, no snow in Auburn, but I-80 closed one exit from me. The wind here was crazy and loud. Yeah. I mean, it was just blizzard conditions. But that wasn't the only crazy weather event that happened. Did you see this? I'm going to play you the news report. I mean, again, just crazy weather we've been having this year.
I just heard everyone screaming and like branches and trees just falling down. And
It's in Madera County.
Tried to close the door and they couldn't, and they finally did. And they grabbed everyone to go on the floor.
Sisters Emily and Eileen Soto were coloring in the cafeteria after school at Berenda Elementary School on Friday afternoon when a tornado touched down in Madera County. The sisters, scared by what happened because it's not something they've experienced before.
All the trees just went dum, dum.
This cell phone video shows all the tree branches scattered all over the ground. Their brother Carlos says he was on his way to Fresno when his mother called him to turn around and go back to pick up his sisters.
We got there, and it was a terrifying sight. Honestly, there was trees everywhere. The front fence of Berenda Elementary School was like collapsed.
You can see the damaged fence at the front of the school that's being held up by a zip tie. Carlos says he's lived in Madera for years and he's never seen anything like this. And when Emily and Eileen saw their big brother,
I ran to him and hugged him. And I was like, where's mom at? Where's mom at? And then I just started crying and saying, can we go home? Can we go home?
Tried to tell him, focus on your breathing, calm down.
Oh, babies.
I'm here now. Nothing's going to happen to you.
the Madera Unified School District says a portable classroom was damaged, but no students were inside at the time. And after that scary situation for Emily and Eileen, they're glad to be home with their family.
I mean, tornadoes, dude. I'm telling you. I live in California. I can handle storms and I can handle earthquakes. I don't want tornadoes to become a regular thing. Chris, all the drought doomsayers are invisible now. I mean, I really hope that is tongue in cheek because we do understand the cycles of these things, Chris. So, obviously, just because we have a rainy year doesn't mean we're always going to have rainy years. So that's the difference. I mean, obviously, I don't know how much climate change plays into the tornadoes. You have to have certain factors as far as temperature, and wind and all those sorts of things in order to have these kind of tornadoes form. But between the tornado there in Madera County and the snow up in the Sierra, it was a pretty wild weekend weather-wise, indeed. So this weekend, I mentioned earlier, I went to a school fundraiser. It was at the Scottish Rite Center in San Jose. It was fun. I have learned though, Kim, was
it like a gala auction?
There was like a silent auction. It wasn't like too fancy. It was it was like a booster. It raises money for the boosters. I have a lot of mom friends and their kids are in sports. So we went. It was like the first high school event that I've gone to as a mom of a high schooler. So it was a lot of fun. It was really, really a lot of fun. I'm just going to tell you this. I was dragging yesterday. And I don't even feel like I drank that much. You know what I mean? But then I saw this headline, and I don't know if this has anything to do with it. But as I was laying in bed, not wanting to get out of bed, I read this headline. Can't handle your booze like you used to? You might have COVID-19 to blame.
What?
There was an article published by specialists at Stanford's post-acute COVID-19 syndrome clinic. And it presented evidence of a possible relationship between COVID infection and increased alcohol sensitivity.
What are we not blaming on COVID?
I know, right? Specifically, a number of patients at Stanford's clinic reported feeling significantly worse symptoms of fatigue, headaches, and hangovers after drinking. One woman claiming she could not move after a glass of wine. Now, I was going to blame age. That was me. I was like, I'm just getting old. I can't drink like I used to. That's just, so it's too difficult for me. But yeah, basically, one of the doctors says there have been reported cases already on how prevalent this is in patients with COVID fatigue. They often experience similar symptoms to those experiencing the effects of long COVID. Obviously, this still needs more research. Both illnesses share considerable similarities, long COVID and then this chronic fatigue. And apparently patients with it later experience worsening symptoms after being affected by COVID. I'll say this. I'm not going to say it's not true. I think we're just going to learn more and more about the impacts of a new virus. That's just the truth. There's just going to be consequences, and it's not going to affect everyone the same way. But if I'm going to sit with a hangover, I'll blame COVID. I don't care. God forbid I blame myself, right? There you go. Yeah, Pained is right. What I just saw. 60 Minutes. Did anyone watch 60 Minutes last night? Did you watch 60 Minutes last night?
I did not.
I saw a little bit of it this morning. And I'm assuming, Gordon, you are talking about the Moms for Liberty. And I was going to talk about it. So I'm glad that your comment brought it up. So Scott Pelley was interviewing the Moms for Liberty. And as you know, Moms for Liberty, they go after librarians for the books that are in school libraries. And they're calling librarians groomers. They're, hold on, I wanted to bring it up because I didn't have the video. They're
just
calling.
No.
Yes. What? Oh, just no. Just no, period. Yeah.
Just
so
no. I mean, no.
Yeah, they're ridiculous. But I'm going to play you a little bit of a clip here. And again, just listen to the question that's asked and then how they answer. That's the point. Like, that was the point that I wanted to play. But I wanted to play you this. Oh, here we go. This is the grooming. This is the question. These Moms for Liberty are asked regarding, because they throw out these words. And this is what pisses me off about stuff like this. They throw out words that will enrage people and they get repeated and repeated. I ask you this, and I had this thought running through my mind that, about the whole opting out thing. I feel like that is the easiest answer to this quote unquote problem at school libraries. If you want to know every single book your child is reading, which I'm sorry, I love it when I see my kid reading, right? Then have the form with the school. It's not hard. Natalie says, my mom restricted what I could check out from school libraries. No fiction books that had magic or wizards or witchcraft, but never try to get books removed from the library. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I just literally this past weekend, I mean, this goes a step further, but this is also what parents should be more concerned about. I'm talking to my son about the types of videos that he's watching on YouTube. Like I go through the, search history or the history of the computer, and I'm like, I don't want my son watching, just anything on YouTube. And yeah, you can have the parental controls, but people have a way around it. And so we have a conversation about it. I told him, I'm like, look, I wouldn't want you to watch, and not that he is, but watching violent videos over and over and over and over again. Similarly, and I try to take it less extreme, I'm like, I wouldn't want you to watch somebody eating unhealthy food or gorging themselves on unhealthy food over and over and over again. Not saying that that in and of itself is some sort of bad behavior, but I don't want you emulating it. And your brain is molding right now, and what you put in it does impact you. At the same time, that's my kid. I'm not going to call up Jacob, Kim's kid, and be like, so Jacob, let's sit down and have a conversation about what you're allowed to watch and read and everything like that. That's Kim's job. It's not my job. That's not my job at all.
Yesterday, I got a couple of he can send texts from his iPad.
Right.
And so I got a text from him, and he just sends like nonsensical things, right?
Right.
And it's this GIF of a lady that looks like she's bald and has a pointy head, and her head is spinning around and her eyes are glazed over and she's got kind of blood on her mouth.
Ooh,
so it's like a horror GIF.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, where is he getting access to that?
Right.
I guess it's part of what's in the iPad thing.
Yeah. So like there's GIFs in the app. Yeah.
So we had to have a discussion about what's appropriate to send and what isn't, and why he thought that was appropriate. It's just like this disturbing GIF that he sent me.
Yeah.
And he obviously sent it to his mother, so he wasn't thinking that there was anything wrong with it. But first of all, and David and I are the only ones that he can email. Message, right. So but it's one of those things where you have to realize what they're looking at.
Yeah.
And in this case, I realized very much what he's looking at, but I wasn't thinking about the GIFs. What's in there?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there are, and again, like, I try to lead, especially with my own children. And I don't know if moms with Liberty do this or for Liberty, whatever, do this, but I try to leave enough space for the kid to feel comfortable telling me things, even if they feel like they might get in trouble, right? Like, let's have a conversation about why you want to read a certain book or look at a certain GIF or a certain video or whatever. Like, let's have a conversation. I will express to you why I don't want you watching those things. And then we can have a conversation, because most of the time, YouTube specifically, they'll just suggest videos, right? And so all of a sudden, their one video that they chose to watch is over, and then the algorithm will just show you another video, right after it. And so those sorts of things also do happen. Heather says, my teacher sent a note home when I was in 3rd grade saying she was concerned because I was reading Cujo. My mom's response was, if she's reading at that level at her age, I'm not going to stop her. Exactly. And Cujo, it's a scary book, but again, it's a book. It's a book, people. Now, I understand some people are really concerned about the drawings, right? In some of these books, right? Or, the imagery that is portrayed, especially, I will say, when it comes to same-sex couples, right? Like, I feel like that just triggers, to use that word, something in some parents are like, if I take that book out of their hands, my child won't be gay. I'm just going to put it right out there. I really do feel like that's the crux of it, right? They don't want their kid to be transgender, gay, but any part of the LGBTQ community. And so they feel that if they are not reading this book, that in some way, shape, or form prevents it from happening. And that's just not going to be true, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. Let me play one more clip. I think this is a different clip from the Moms for Liberty. And again, just paying attention to what they're asked versus what they consensual. I mean, again, the hypocrisy, right? I mean, although there's nothing wrong if you want to have a threesome with your spouse and it's consensual, the problem was when that third person didn't want to do it with the husband, allegedly, he forced himself on her. So Moms for Liberty is full of it. They're so friggin' full of it that it's not. The ideology they're talking about, the indoctrination they're talking about is LGBTQ issues. Hands down. These are probably, and I'm just going to conflate right now, but these are probably the same moms that would put their very, very young children either in beauty pageants, right? Or, put Heartbreaker on a t-shirt and put it on their very, very young child.
Sexualize children in other ways.
What is that supposed to mean? Right? Like, let's stop acting like the straight agenda doesn't start from birth, right? Hottie, like juicy. You put your little kids in all that crap, but because it's heterosexual or heteronormative, that they don't have a problem with it. It's normal to them.
And if there's a book in the elementary school library that's clearly meant for older kids, then you go to the principal or whomever and you say, listen, I think this is an error here.
Yeah.
You might want to put this on the higher shelf.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And kids will find it anyway. Like, honestly, like these moms, I'm sorry. Like, you have to just talk to your kids. And I know that it's uncomfortable conversations. I have been in this like stretch with my son where he's like, every time I'm like, let's go talk. Cause he's still at that age where it doesn't bother him too much. Right. And so I'm like, and I really praise him. I'm like, thank you for having these conversations. I know it can be kind of awkward to have conversations about everything with your old mom, but let's just keep talking and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because once you start hitting closer to your sister's age, almost 16 years old, God, mom, I'm not sitting and talking with you all of the time. It's harder. But even last night, my son was in my room. We were chit-chatting and my daughter walked by. I'm like, hey, come on in and, snuggle and let's talk. And she actually did. It was like the clouds parted, Kim. You know what I mean? It's like, and not that my daughter and I talk all the time, but I have to choose my moments so carefully in the car, in between practices and things like that. And it gets harder and harder. But if you have the door open to conversation, in my opinion, and you're not so judgy from the very beginning, if you're not so scared, and I'll tell you, there's some questions I'll ask my kids and I'm like holding my breath, like, what is the answer to this question? But I feel like they look to me to see how they're going to respond. Like, how open am I going to be with my old mom about, either friend groups or things that I'm watching or reading or whatever. And it's hard. It's
Do
hard.
we agree with Chris on this?
Sexuality is very malleable at puberty. I don't know if I would use that word. I would say puberty is a time where kids explore their sexuality, right? Things are happening to their body. Look, I can't tell you the age I was when I knew that I liked men. I don't know. I just did, right? I just did. I can't tell you the exact age. I do know that it kind of ramped up in puberty. So I would say that if you are attracted to whatever gender, puberty is a time where it really starts to make itself known. And I feel like if you raise your children in an environment that stamps down exploration, right, that can lead to one outcome. But I think that, other families choose to just let it be like, okay, explore what you want to explore. I mean, it's hard to say it because obviously I'm a parent and I'm guiding my child. I'm guiding their morality. I'm guiding, who they are as a person in that way. But who am I to tell my child who they are or are not attracted to? Sexual attraction, I'm just going to put it right out there. I don't feel it's something that I could tell my child. Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not in their body. I'm not in their mind. And 2024 is different than, 1978 when I was born.
Yeah.
So it's different. It's the space to explore likely leads to more people exploring, right? So
I think some people will say, well, during this whole puberty time, if you come across some kink or some thing, while your body is changing that makes you feel a certain way, then that's going to be your thing for life, right?
I see what you're saying.
Then you're stuck into this hole for then.
Yeah. Don't plant your flag in an area too early kind of thing,
Yeah. I just feel like you have to give kids the freedom to be who they're going to be. And if, I don't necessarily know it's malleable. I think they're going to end up where they're going to end up.
Well,
at the end of it all.
I feel like, and sadly, Kim, I'll even say this. I think it's different for boys than girls. I think that girls, and maybe I'm totally wrong because again, I am heterosexual. I'm in a heterosexual relationship. Both of my parents are heterosexual. So I don't have that kind of reference point. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of feel like girls have a little bit more space to explore liking girls and boys versus if a boy said that he was dabbling or whatever, exploring, liking boys and girls, he would be deemed gay. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like for boys, there's less room, which is sad. Like, I'm not supporting that. I just
for
feel
girls,
like
it's a phase, and for boys, it's who you are.
Thank you. Like, if you if you even think about liking boys, then you must like boys, right? Forever. And if you're a girl, it's like, it's similar to the difference between lesbian porn and gay porn, or, male on male porn. It's just, I feel like there is a little more of a hard and fast rule for men versus women, which isn't fair at all.
You just said hard and fast.
Ding. I just think that
Sorry.
It's hard.
I'm 12.
I need to stop saying hard. I just feel like it's a difficult conversation for parents to navigate. And so I think that for some parents, and I'm just going to say, it's easier just to shut it all down. Nope, we're not going to talk about it. You like girls, or you like, you know what I mean? If you're a boy, you like girls. And if you're a girl, you like boys. That's how it is in this household. That's how it is with our religion. That's how it is, fill in the blank excuse to not have the conversation anymore. Trevor makes a really good point. Hold on, I just lost it. Every LGBT kid was indoctrinated to be straight as a kid. I'll say that's totally true. I don't see a gay couple being like, you have to be gay. You have to be gay. Nobody does that, but straight people love to do that, right? Some, not all. Some are like, no, of course you're a boy. You like girls. You're a girl. You like boys. And it's kind of weird when you think about it, because that's an area in which your kid should tell you who they like and who they don't like and who they're attracted to and who they're not attracted to. Like, that's the part where I just leave space and I try to be understanding, and I try, and not just with my own kids, but my friends' kids and my friends' kids, my friends or my kids' friends is what I mean to say. So if they bring home somebody that's a member of the LGBTQ community or is exploring being a member of the LGBTQ community, I try not to make it their whole entire freaking personality because it's not, right? Yeah. It's what they like to do. Ms. Organic says, I brought my daughter to a Stanford seminar on the talk when she was approaching puberty. Total cop out, but it was awesome. I took my daughter also to that exact same thing. We did the long day instead of the whole weekend type of thing. And it was great. It's just one of those things where my son is in 7th grade. So he's also in sex ed for the 7th grade version of it, of course. And they just need to be able to kind of have the conversations. And so I know it's hard, and Moms for Liberty is only talking about the liberty that they want, but I love the line.
Yeah.
It's
Liberty
like,
for who?
Liberty
right?
for them, liberty for what they want and how they want to live their lives and have their kids live their lives. And God forbid anybody lives and has children that are any different. It's total BS. Total BS. Okay, let me squeeze in one more story. Oh, do I not have it up? I might have to go to headlines first. Are you ready for headlines? I got to get my head. Okay, let's do some headlines first because then I can get my videos all situated because I know they're just going to be filled with ads if I click on them now. When we come back, and I don't know if this is in your news, but I saw it over the weekend, and I think, Lori, you sent it to me, or maybe it was Calvin. And I'm just calling BS. I call a BS on Moms for Liberty, and I'm calling BS, and I think all of us are, on PG&E, claiming there is no connection between rate increases and their $2.2 billion with a B jump in earnings. Total BS. We'll get Loretta Lynch on again this month. She's going to say the exact same thing, I'm sure. But how do you feel about this excuse? I'm going to play you a news report because it just made me laugh when I watched it because I felt like they were trying to do this whole PR thing and it's just not working. I'm sorry. Even for the people that were there, like, it was nice, but nobody's buying this BS. They're totally full of crap. Click the thumbs up button to show your support for the show. We'll talk about PG&E next.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And we are back to the Supreme Court because how can we not talk about this story today, right? It just is. But I will say that there's a victory lap being taken by former President Trump, as one would expect. He's feeling pretty good about all this. Donald Trump says he wants President Biden to try to beat him at the ballot box and not in court. Speaking after his Supreme Court victory, he says, in the Colorado ballot case, Trump accused Biden of weaponizing the Department of Justice against him again. Trump saying he's dealing with out-of-control judges and rogue prosecutors. Today, the High Court said Colorado cannot remove Trump over claims he is an insurrectionist, effectively stopping more states from trying to do the same. In its decision, the United States Supreme Court said the responsibility for enforcing Section 3 of the 14th Amendment rests with Congress and not with the states. And this from Huffington Post this morning, maybe it isn't quite a victory after all. While the Supreme Court did allow Trump back on the ballot on technical legal grounds, this was no way a win for Trump. That, according to Noah Bookbinder, he's the executive director for Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. It's a liberal legal group that led the Colorado lawsuit. He said in a statement, the Supreme Court had the opportunity in this case to exonerate Trump, and they chose not to do so.
Well, I mean, exonerate Trump in what way? They
could have said he is not an insurrectionist, and they didn't say that. They didn't rule on that.
But were they asked to rule on that? I thought this was just about.
I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either.
I thought it was specifically a vague interpretation of this particular clause of the 14th Amendment.
Yeah. And Gordon, you're right. Biden did not tell Colorado to remove Trump from the ballot. More lies out of his mouth. He wants to blame Biden for all of this. And Biden is not behind any of it. Any of it. These are cases that are brought up by voters, brought up by states. So he can try to tie Biden to all of it. They have not been part of it at all. And in many cases, some of these are court appointed in some of the cases against Trump, Trump appointed judges, right? Making these rulings against him. So stop already.
Yeah. But he will use anything right, to put more blame on the
Yep.
Biden administration.
Yep,
So
exactly.
it's just turned politics again. Finally, a bit of, I guess you could say, resolution in this case that's been ongoing. You remember this guy, Jack Teixeira? He is a former Massachusetts Air National Guard member, and he's now receiving a 16-year prison sentence in exchange for a guilty plea about leaked military secrets on social media. Yeah. According to a court document, Jack Teixeira pled guilty to willful retention and transmission of national defense information. Prosecutors say this 22-year-old former airman abused his top secret clearance and posted highly classified documents online. So again, 16-year prison sentence for in exchange for a guilty plea.
Wow.
Take this picture down, and this is where my pictures end, but my news continues.
Okay.
Former Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg is pleading guilty to perjury charges. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office said he surrendered this morning on the new charges, the perjury charges connected to his testimony in former President Trump's civil fraud trial. So Weisselberg is busted,
Nice.
pleading guilty to perjury charges there. If you heard about this, Trader Joe's is recalling 61,000 pounds of its frozen steamed chicken soup dumplings.
Yeah.
The
And why?
US
Tell them why.
the
Trader
US
Joe's, dude.
The USDA says Trader Joe's received several reports of hard plastic pieces in the dumplings. They think it was hard plastic pieces of a permanent marker pen.
That's gross.
There were no reports of injuries or illness due to the contamination from this, but it makes me think, like, who got near the dumpling vat with a marker? You know, was it bring your kid to work day? What happened?
Well, was it is in their pocket is what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
something.
and you lean over. But here's the thing, again, I like Trader Joe's, but Kim, how many Trader Joe recalls have you done? Just in the last 6 months.
It's
Feels
been a
like
lot.
every month
and
there's
and
another
always
one.
with some contamination of some
Yes!
plastic or some glass or something.
They need to fix their kitchens. Come on.
I mean, I love Trader Joe's, and I'm sure this is different kitchens in different places, but
Maybe.
come on.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
is weird.
Yep.
I'm not liking it. There is, this is so pretty, this place. I've always wanted to go here, but you know what I think? Maybe I'll never have the opportunity to go here ever
no.
again. Yeah, because it's threatened by volcanic activity. This is
Oh.
the Blue Lagoon in Iceland.
Yeah, I've
I
heard of
mean, the
this.
water.
You can't put your hair in that water, right? I think that's right.
Why?
I think it's the Blue Lagoon. You can't because of the Iceland water. Because of the water, it like fries your hair.
Does it?
Yeah. So the lagoon's renowned geothermal seawater. They say, oh, maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. Let me Google this. They say it's not harmful, but it does have a lot of sulfur, silica, what else? And magnesium. So it leaves your hair feeling dry and matted. So you, my friend, they tell people, don't dunk your head under the water.
Put it in a
if
bun
you
and keep it up.
Or put it in a bun, keep it up, put some sort of like a head, like the swimmer's cap on or something like that. But yeah, if you put it, it's going to end up like this knotted, ratted mess.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I've seen that before. Yeah, that's
That's
gorgeous.
great advice for people that go, but
Yeah.
the world famous Blue Lagoon in Iceland is closed as a nearby volcano, one singular volcano, continues to rumble. Magma is reportedly flowing after intense seismic activity in the area around the popular geothermal spa known for its beautiful warm blue waters.
Wow.
A volcanologist is telling an Iceland television station an eruption could happen within hours.
Ooh.
Will it cover this place up?
Oh, I
don't
hope
know.
not. I hope not.
They got everybody out of there just in case.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's sad. Yeah, that's gorgeous. It's definitely one of those TikTok, Instagrammable places that people go to because it's gorgeous. Look at that. It's so
beautiful.
gorgeous.
It's sad to think it could be
gone.
covered up and gone.
Yeah.
But that's the way of the world. Do you remember the award show where John Travolta stood up on stage Where's
and
the Oscars?
mispronounced Idina Menzel's name.
Yeah, and I mean it was bad, right? To the point, at least
It wasn't even close. It wasn't
No.
even close to her,
Her name is Idina Menzel,
Yes.
and he called her Adele Dazim.
It's kind of like backwards, mixed up, shuffled a little bit, you know.
And
there
it's
you
right
go.
on the teleprompter there in front of everybody.
Yeah.
There they are. And apparently they have he sends her flowers on the anniversary of this every year.
That is so funny. That is, oh God.
Like,
I remember
addressed
watching
to
that
Adele
live. I was
Dazeem.
like,
Yeah.
Who is that? And then I was like, that's not how you say her name. That's so funny.
She is now today, singer Idina Menzel, wishing the fictitious Adele Dazeem a very happy birthday. The Frozen actress sang happy birthday on TikTok on the 10th anniversary of actor John Travolta messing up her name at the Oscars. He called her, again, Adele Dazeem, while introducing her as she was set to perform the song Let It Go from Frozen.
Yeah. You know, I will say, and you know, Kim, as people that broadcast and read scripts and all those sorts of things, sometimes your mouth can betray you. Like you're looking at it, your brain is seeing one thing and something completely different comes out of your mouth. So I get it, but that's really funny. I totally remember because we had daughters. They were totally into Frozen. We were waiting to hear the song.
Yeah.
And I was like, who? So funny.
So funny. But I love that they make a joke of it.
Yeah.
And that every year on this day that they have some communication to remember that moment.
That's
you know?
funny. That is really, really funny.
Yeah, pretty good. Did you hear about this basketball record that was set?
Is this Caitlin Clark?
This is Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
I don't
buddy.
have a picture of her, but maybe you can find one really
me see.
quick
Yeah.
because let me tell you, this Iowa woman's superstar, honestly, a superstar, Caitlin Clark, is now the NCAA all-time scoring leader. She scored her 18th point in Iowa's game against Ohio State on a free throw just before the end of the first half to break Pistol Pete Maravich's all-time NCAA scoring record on Sunday. She set a new record just weeks after breaking Kelsey Plum's all-time women's NCAA scoring record. There she is. She is a powerhouse.
She's awesome.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, think about that. And I think that there was some video, I don't know if we aired it on this show. There was some video where like a bunch of people, a bunch of boys, they said, came out to like chant against her and she just had an amazing game. And the cameraman that was like recording the game, every time she like nailed a three or whatever, they panned to this group of people and they'd be like just so silent. Don't doubt her skill, my friend. She is insanely good. She is insanely good. She apparently showed no reaction after the shot that took her to 3,668 points. In an interview at halftime, Clark said she wasn't aware she had broken the record in that moment. So it's not even like she's doing it for the record, right? She's just a badass.
I'm
is
sure there will
awesome.
be some that say, oh, well, it's not as difficult in women's basketball.
Oh, the ball's smaller, all this sort of stuff.
It's
like, give me a
not the
break.
same thing. It's, whatever, trying to somehow lessen her accomplishment, right?
Right, exactly.
And I don't buy it. I
Well,
mean,
that's what happens when women accomplish anything. It's like, why does her gender matter? Or what's the big deal? Trying to, dilute it. And it's like, dude, we celebrate. I always laugh at football because they have these most insane statistics for things. I'm like, there has to be some person in the background coming up with all these weird statistics and they throw it out and we're supposed to be in awe of all of these things.
Right.
And then Caitlin Clark does this amazing thing. It's like, it's not the same. Your
It's not the
sexism is
same.
showing. Shut up.
no, it's absolutely the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And and you know what? We should celebrate all of it. All of it. I don't care I don't care. Let's look for more reasons to celebrate the tiniest and largest of victories of people. What's the harm? What is the harm?
Yeah. Also wanted to tell you how much snow has fallen in Tahoe.
Please tell me. A lot. A boatload.
Across a 3-day period, Sugar Bowl on Donner Pass recorded 87 inches. Soda Springs, 84 inches. King Vale, 73 inches. 72 inches for Yuba Pass. Palisades, Tahoe, 62 inches. Kirkwood, 48 inches. Bear Valley, 57 inches. Tuolumne Meadows, 45 inches. Happy Isles and Yosemite National Park, 25 inches. And Blue Canyon on Interstate 80, where we all get sent as reporters
Yes,
to talk about
exactly.
snow, 23 inches. So that's how it looked as far as Monday morning. They still have some lingering snow flurries in Tahoe, and here comes another storm for them. So they're going to get even more snow.
I don't know if the next storm though is going to be such a snowmaker, but this
No.
is this was a big one. This was a big one, and it's good for our snowpack and the water content and all those sorts of things. So definitely happy to see it. And again, somebody that I forget who it was saying, you know, it would have been nice if we could have like spread all this snow out instead of having it just dump all at once. But it is what it is. Mother Nature, she likes it that way.
That's the way it goes.
That's the way
This
it goes.
report is sponsored by you, which means we rely on you to help us fund this Nikki Madero show and keep it successful. I would ask not only for financial support of the show on thenikkimaderoshow.com and here on YouTube, but also for you to share the show as we try to grow it, make it a bigger, more widely watched show. People need to know we're here. So if you see something you like, please share it on the internet, on Facebook, on wherever you are, so that we can keep doing this. I'm Kim McAllister. This is the Nikki Madero Show.
And what was it that we're the #1 podcast in Istanbul? I think it is.
Are we the #1 podcast in Istanbul?
Yeah. Or #2. #1 or #2 in Istanbul.
Who's watching in Istanbul?
I don't know, but hello.
Hi.
Yeah, we're the
Welcome, people
#1.
of Turkey.
I think it was Istanbul, which is actually like it's a weird thing, but it's actually kind of cool. It's just I don't know why we're so popular there, Kim, but we are. So thank you to everyone from Istanbul to Constantinople. You know what I mean? So we're good to go. It is pretty cool. Okay, I'm not buying what PG&E is trying to sell. And somebody mentioned an earthquake. It's the damn. They always come too early. My landscapers are here. The dog doesn't like the landscapers.
Yeah.
There's no earthquake coming. Nugget just doesn't like them. Okay, PG&E apparently has been trying to sell people on the idea that don't look at this $2.2 billion of profits that we've made of earnings. That has nothing to do with the fact that we've raised your rates over and over and over and over and over again. So they went to a coffee shop, and I'm going to play trying to sell this load of BS. I ain't buying it.
And customers were invited in to really ask any questions they wanted, whether it was about recent power outages, storm damage. But we found many customers were actually there to talk about some concerns they had with their bills. Nestled into a corner of Pittsburgh's Steeltown Coffee, PG&E is buying coffee for customers and answering questions at their night.
Did I pay for that coffee? Did my rate increase pay for that coffee?
Disarm them and inform them.
And while the coffee might bring everyone together, it didn't solve everyone's problems.
He was very pleasant and answered questions as best he could. But my rate is not going to go down. I mean, as a result of visiting today, but I am happy that they were here.
Longtime ratepayers like Karen Schneider, a Lafayette resident of more than 34 years, came to find out why her PG&E bill went up again in January. Before substantial rate hikes took effect January 1st, PG&E customers already paid some of the highest energy bills in the country.
I'm so angry with the whole this state of affairs, far beyond what's reasonable, and giving money to stockholders and cutting back on the solar program.
A month after bills went up, PG&E announced its profits for 2023 surged to over $2.2 billion, a jump of almost 25%. But PG&E representatives at Friday's event said there's no connection to rate increases and their earnings.
A financially healthy utility is a good thing for our customers because we can borrow and do these infrastructure projects at more affordable rates. But the notion that
Hold on, can I just stop right here and look at what he's wearing? Like a baseball hat, a sweatshirt. Like, just trust me, I'm an average Joe like you.
anything coming out of our earnings report is in direct result of the rate increase is completely false.
Those infrastructure updates include the undergrounding of lines, a major project in the works after PG&E's aging power grid caused dozens of wildfires, some deadly. But PG&E says the changes made at the state capitol are forcing hikes too.
A lot of them are state policies that we're enacting. There's a lot of public support programs. There are a lot of solar programs that come out of the legislature and get put in, and we're the middle part of that equation.
Just like those ridiculous
listen
programs on TV where you're like, oh, PG&E is your friend. You know, like, you're not my friend.
I love her. She's like, you're not my friend. Like, I'm sorry. Can you not spend money on free coffee for people and just lower my effing rates?
Do you know anyone that works for PG&E?
No. Do you?
Yes, I do. We have a very good friend that works for PG&E. And
what do they do? What do they do? What do they do?
So I'll apologize to her ahead of time. I'll say, listen, and I give her my true feelings. And you know how I feel about PG&E. And she's like, that's, but she says, you know, we had a meeting. They call us all into the PG&E conference room.
Right.
And they give us talking points on how to handle when our friends and family or random people come up to us and ask us questions about their rate increases and what. They're giving their employees talking points on how to, and you saw that guy, right? I mean, how much do you have to be paid to go to a coffee shop? And he's like, you know, stumbling over it. Even he knows it's not true.
He's full of
it's
crap.
BS. But I mean, how bad does it have to be when you need to prepare your staff because you're ripping off the public so badly that you know that your staff members are going to be confronted about what's happening at your company.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And you have to prepare your staff with talking points to defend the company and defend themselves.
Yep.
And even my friends, like, I just tell people, don't ask me. I don't know. She's like, I'm not saying the talking points. I'm just saying, but she went through what they were, you know? And I said, don't tell me I know what they are. I know what they are. Let me guess. We have to underground the line. We want to keep all of you safe.
Yeah.
Safety is our number one priority.
Upgrading this aging system, right?
That's right. She goes, yep, and yep, and yep. I'm like, that is their line. Meanwhile, they're making a profit, pocketing the money, paying out the bonuses, flying around on private jets for the leader of PG&E. Are you kidding me?
It's awful. It's awful. And it keeps going up. I mean, my bill in 1 month went up $100. And I'm not keeping it at rich people temperature. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, and I love how they throw out $30 a month. It's
rich
never
people
30.
Temperature is over 70, right?
Oh, over 70, never over 70.
Yeah.
Like, but honestly, they always say, oh, your bill will only go up only $30 a month. It's never $30. It's never $30. And if you do it time and time again, it's hundreds of dollars. We're not making more money. PG&E should be using its own earnings to fix its own system. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know. I mean, it's such bull crap.
We're getting ripped off. And we're expected not to be pissed off about it.
Exactly.
And I was reading on Facebook last night, there's this site, I think it was Petaluma Peeps, where it's like a community website. And this woman was saying, I'm single and I live alone, right? Not I, but this woman. She said, my PG&E bill is normally $150 to $200 during the winter. She said, it's $500.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's I haven't crazy. She goes, I haven't done anything differently.
No.
So why is it $500?
Yeah, exactly. And and then you try to join the different, energy windows, right? So I don't use my electricity or the big like washing machine between 5 and 8, which is hard because that's when we're home to do all of these things, and so I'm trying to adjust it and it doesn't move the needle at all. It's all BS. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And I'm seeing so many of you. Let me throw up a couple. Yeah, Justin, I hate to say this, but this is the main reason that Gavin has lost my support and I will not vote for him. Well, he's not up for re-election. I really thought he was a competent leader for the state on most issues. This must end. Exactly. I would vote for any other Democratic candidate if he was going up or she was going up against Gavin Newsom on this issue alone. Now, I'm not going to vote for a Republican because I really don't think that they would do jack crap either. I think that they would actually give more bonuses to the rich people over at PG&E. Yeah. But I just feel like Gavin has been an abject failure on this. I had posted it on X a while ago. And they're like, it's not Gavin's fault. It's the CPUC. I'm like, who do you think appoints the CPUC?
Yeah. Who put those people in place
Who put
and
those
why?
people on there? And who's taking them to task? Gavin Newsom has a huge microphone. And when he wants to use it for something, he can very effectively. There is a reason why Gavin Newsom is silent on this. It doesn't pay for him politically. It doesn't work for him. He knows how dirty and in the mud he is with members of the CPUC. He knows that he has done nothing to rein in the fact that the regulatory agency that is supposed to regulate PG&E is literally PG&E Part 2, right? It's like, come on now.
So my friend, we're at dinner the other night, and I say, listen, the only thing that makes me not feel as bad when I'm paying my PG&E bill is pretending that money's going right to you. Right?
That'd piss me off more, in all honesty. I'm like, give me my money back. Give me my money back. How can you work for a company like this? Do you ever ask her, like, how can you work for PG&E when you know they're ripping off so many people? They're ripping off people. It's a freaking grift, this electricity. There's no proof. Right. And the proof that we have to underground the lines, like Loretta Lynch has explained to us so many times. They are undergrounding lines in areas that they don't have to. They're not doing it for us. It's a load of BS. Oh, well, we have to underground it to prevent the wildfires, to keep people safe. Then do it in the areas where there's freaking wildfire risk. But no, you're doing it in these urban areas where they don't even need it because it's more expensive and you could justify our raising rates.
Imagine, though, that you have a job where you can work from home, where the pay is really good, and where you get a pension as well.
I know. I
mean, how do you say no?
At
least somebody's getting some money, because I know the money's being sucked away from us. So
I mean, I get it. I know a job is a job is a job, and if you've done it, and you know, it's similar to like if Bart's not doing well, but you work for Bart, right? You're like, okay, you know, when you work for like especially big agencies like this, and the S hits the fan, and people are unhappy, I understand. But all I'm saying is, you know, I couldn't be I don't think I could be friends with a member of the CPUC. I really don't. No,
but I don't think I can put it at the feet of the employees.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you're right. Of PG&E, of average PG&E
Although I understand the frustration. I get that.
I would kind of be like, well, be a voice. I don't know what your friend does. Obviously, they don't carry very much sway. Look, the CPUC is corrupt in this case. They are not regulating PG&E. They are writing a blank check over and over and over again, fully aware of the financial devastation, and I'm not exaggerating here, that it is causing people, especially in a high cost of living area where so many people every single year are on a fixed income. The aging population of California and the rising cost of everything is a problem, and PG&E is just adding to it. You think they're going to reduce our rates? You think if they'll ever reach a point where it's like, okay, we have enough earnings, let's give something back to our customers who've had to foot the bill, who've literally lost their cities, lost their lives in some cases because of our malfeasance? It's ridiculous. And again, I know that somebody was saying we can't just blame Gavin Newsom. The buck stops with him. The person that runs the state, right? Not only that, appoints the CPUC. Hell yes, I blame Gavin Newsom. I do. Is he the only one that can fix it? No, we need to pressure him. We as voters should be doing something. We as voters, I email, are you guys? You know, those are the things that need to happen. The pressure needs to continue. You would think we would be more up in arms about this, in all honesty. But I feel like sometimes we're screaming into the ether. Sometimes I just want to like take a video of me screaming every month that I get my PG&E bill and just send the sound to Gavin Newsom in his office and play it on a loop over and over and over again. We should just put speakers outside of people bitching and moaning about their PG&E bills because it's absolutely ridiculous. But no, I don't think Lori. Lori says, so maybe it's worth supporting the recall in order to show how egregious this is. It's all going to fall on the taxpayer again anyway. If we pay for another stupid recall that's not going to happen, It's not going to happen. No, what I want is for Gavin Newsom to do something about it without there always being this threat of removing him from office. I think every press conference, he should be taken to task. What are you doing about PG&E bills?
Why is he never asked about
exactly
this?
Why are reporters
like it's
not
the biggest
asking?
issue? It's his biggest downside. So why does no one ever say, or do we ever hear the clips or hear the audio of him responding to a question about why'd you put those people on the CPUC? What do you think about PG&E's profits?
Right.
Why
what do you think about the rubber stamping of every single rating?
Do you understand that we blame you for this?
Yes.
Why do you not get that? What are you doing to help us?
Oh God, it makes my blood boil. I mean, I guess that's what keeps me warm at night since I can't turn the friggin' heat on. It's just my anger about my PG&E bill. Jesus, Lord Almighty. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, nothing's going to happen. I'll reach out to Loretta Lynch and we'll talk again. Getting an update on that AB 1999. Yeah. Cause it was Party Like It's 1999. AB 1999. I had emailed my assembly member. They actually emailed me back saying that they're putting their name on that bill as well. So yeah, you just got to keep, you got to be the squeaky wheel. But until then, expect your PG&E bill to consistently go up and up and up, and Gavin Newsom to do jack nothing about it. All right. I want to thank you guys all for being here today. Tomorrow is Super Tuesday. Super Tuesday. Fill out your ballots. Get them in. It's not just the U.S. Senate. It's not just the presidential primary. There are so many issues. Prop 1. Right? There's so many issues that are facing Californians that you need to have a say on. Everything from your assembly person to your city. Please, you guys, I'd be so disappointed. I feel like they're preparing us to be disappointed with the turnout in this primary election. And that just bothers me to no end, because you know what's going to happen as November gets closer. Oh, look at all this stuff on the ballot. I didn't have a say on who's. This is the point. This is the time. This is where you get a say. You didn't like Prop 1 or you do like Prop 1, then you need to go out and vote for it. You need to vote for your representatives. You have to get out there and vote. So I'm going to fill out my ballot. I have some of it filled out, but I'm going to sit down and really read it all over. Good for you, Natalie. Dropped off my ballot last weekend. Yeah, you have to do it. I'm going to drop off my ballot in person tomorrow after the show, get my I voted sticker and flaunt it all over the place because it's the best thing that you can do. The second best thing that you can do is support this show. So just go to thenikkimadoroshow.com, thenikkimadoroshow.com, become an official Madorable, as I like to call you guys. It's our monthly Patreon. It's a one-time-a-month payment. If you can afford a little bit more, please do. We can't do the show without you. And so if you want to continue to see the Nikki Maduro Show on YouTube, then please sign up for our Patreon. You can also support us through PayPal. Go to paypal.com, hit the send button, and just go to put in the Nikki Maduro Show at gmail.com. That is also the place where you can send me recipes. Lee, you just sent me one this morning. I will get it up on the Nikki Maduro newsletter, thenikkimadoroshow.substack.com. I'm putting recipes, food recommendations, all sorts of fun things on there. So if you want to have a recipe included, you could just send it to me. All of this information, my friends, is in the show notes, which is right beneath this video. Just hit the more button and you can find all the links right there. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Get out and vote. Do not waste this time, and we'll see you. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're proud, like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.